So I got Gran Turismo Sport a couple of days ago, tried out some GT3 racing because GT3 is my favorite category. I played it for about an hour and I nearly put my PS4 through my TV. Then I suppose I'd have a reason to get a PS5, if they existed. So before I threw the baby out with a bathwater, I thought I'd try Monza, which is seemingly the only track that exists on online PC racing simulators. So I have experience with it. So I had gone around here a few times earlier today, and I started off with a 205 originally, but then I got it down to a 203, and I really did think that I could get under 2 minutes, which for me that's only played this for about 24 hours, I think that's a pretty good time. Unfortunately, however, I suck, so I was only able to put down another 203. Though at least that shows consistency, which is something that I struggle with most online racing simulators. But after going around a few times, I was able to get down to the low 2 minute range. In fact, actually one of them was a 2-minuter. I knew I could do better, but I didn't actually have time. So in a display of matchmaking worse than Rainbow Six Siege, it saw fit to put me with people that had laps so fast I couldn't even imagine going that fast. I bought the Audi TT because it seemed fast, so fast in fact, that every time I started a race, I'd take at least one place before the first corner. I mean, just watch me catch this peasant in a BMW. He's got slipstream, by the way, so my slipstream on him is nothing special, and I overtake him like it's nothing. And then, even when we get up to here, I am a better racer, I am able to brake later than him. But I want to point out that here, my hands are kind of flailing about. Now, it's usually pretty bad, but this? Let me explain. I was running from my G920 into my computer, then out of my computer with a Gimmicks adapter into my PlayStation 4, then from my PlayStation 4 into a recording device, then from the recording device into my TV. So I was using the wrong controller with huge amounts of input lag. But anything for cheapness, I suppose. That didn't change the fact, however, that I hit my braking mark perfectly. Unfortunately, I wasn't expecting Slipstream to screw me, so the person behind me took the place right back and probably wasn't particularly too happy with me. But I made up a place and then immediately lost a place, which, you know, we're switching places a lot, but at least I'm racing really cleanly. I'm not actually hitting anybody, which is something which happens in the future to me and from me, unfortunately. Now, I wasn't able to catch up to this Audi TT being a similar car and you got a better exit, but when it comes up to the Ascari S-bends or chicane or whatever you want to call it, I was not particularly great on braking. As you see me come up here, I would brake at the bridge. But that was still a lot better than other people, say, like this Lexus in front of me, and my exits were sloppy, but getting better than a lot of other people, so it just really helped. I was able to get in front of him, and that would make me from 11th to 8th on the very first lap. Now, I got to overtake him here, but then I realized just how powerful that slipstream is. I just wasn't able to actually get in front of him, but at least I was able to outbrake him. In fact, this guy was so bad that the guy that was 0.3 seconds behind me in the Dodge Viper was also able to get past him. Unfortunately, with the way Slipstream worked, by the end of the front straight, he was afforded the opportunity to be able to actually lunge me quite nicely, and I just gave it up because I'm a fairly new racer. I don't want to screw somebody else's race because I want to get a better position on my very first time outing. That, however, wasn't on the mind of the Lexus behind me. Back to the drawing board, I suppose, for him, much like the guy in the Dodge Viper who, after the Lesbos, decided to give the position back to me as well. I don't know, maybe some sort of latent guilt. And then my final overtake happened on the very next lap of Today RS. It really goes to show that you don't have to be a particularly good driver, you just have to, you know, not crash. Like I did so much in GT3. I hate GT3. And I was able to maintain this sort of gap between me and the person in front of me and behind me very consistently through the next few laps. I did, however, do a 2-minute flat mid-race, which I was actually quite proud of. But I think Gran Turismo Sport heard my slight against GT3 about sliding and decided to make things just a little bit hair-raising for me. No matter though, I came through and finished in 7th. I really wanted to do better, however. So I booted up qualifying again. My first time round, I did a 2-minute flat 0.647. Then I went around again and did a very similar time. Now, I'm going to run you through this lap in its entirety because I think it really shows that I am finally starting to improve and understand this simulator different from others. Now, my breaking point there is probably about 20 meters shorter than what it was originally. I get tiny turns, and then it's the exit that I'm really trying to focus on quite here. Now, I am behind, But as you can see down in the bottom, I am actually gaining time, and this is all part of going into this really fast, phenomenal lap that I do. And you see I'm coming around here on the long sweeping corner, coming up to the very anti-chicane. Now, my braking point is usually about the 150, but I'm already braking probably nearly 50 meters shorter, and I'm still getting through the corner quite nicely. Now, I wouldn't have been able to do this if I hadn't already set down my consistency. And you can see now that I'm braking in the corner of Lesmo 1, and Lesmo 2 I do quite a lot better. As you see here, I'm braking and turning at the same time. I'm mounting that curb really hard and then flooring it all the way down. And I'm about 0.5 of a second up. At this rate, I'm actually going to beat it ever so slightly. I'm even getting more brave when I'm heading into the Ascari chicane, which is one that always kind of terrifies me because I hate stuffing this one up. But you can see there that I'm braking between the bridge and the 100 board and getting over the curb and getting over the second curb. That is the most important one. So then I can go into fourth and just zoom my way out. I'm 0.7 of a second ahead. This is absolutely phenomenal. I am totally going to break the 2-minute marker right now. Oh. Yeah, this moose knuckle of a game, at that very point, decided to cut it short to tell me that the race was starting. I mean, God. Okay, I get it. They have a tight schedule, and there is no time to waste. I've gone right from that directly into the race. Why the hell does this game have a warm-up period? But finally, we get into the race, and the game has decided to put me up against a Bugatti Veyron. That seems fair. This, however, is all just foreshadowing for how much of a shit race this one is going to be. And it all starts on the very first corner. I once again go for my normal braking point, forgetting that dirty air screws you really badly. And I did feel a little bit bad for this, but a 2-second penalty? Well, I don't think that's fair because he's managed to screw himself out of it anyway. I only hit him at the beginning of the corner. He ghosted out, and the rest of it was all him. And trying to get past little Wiggly Bum here, that was very nerve-wracking. I was actually very scared of him, but we come up here heading into, I believe it's Variante. I hit my braking point perfectly. I don't have to worry about dirty air in the front. I didn't get the turn in quite right, but that was because I wasn't on the racing line. I stuffed up the exit, but that was fine because it was a very short run into Lesmo 1, which I did really well. I broke as late as I could in the middle of turning into the corner, and we were great. And they didn't get any closer. Lesmo 2, however, shit. Well, I mean, whatever, I'm gonna go in for a 2-second penalty anyway. And neither did me accidentally coming out of her in third gear and stuffing it up. Other people around me had penalties and whatnot, but that put me down into the lovely 16th place when all of the dust settled, which is last place. This was not feeling good. Ascari, we did okay. Our tires were a little bit dirty, all that kind of stuff, but at least we knew that we were faster than somebody, which felt really nice, actually, because you could see him just struggling so much, and here I am, just doing really well with probably 1/4 to 1/2 a second of delay of input from my controller to my PlayStation. Well, not to my PlayStation, to my monitor. Now, at this point, I had a lot of work to do, braking super late, these new braking points that I had finally learned, and me right catching up on the back of a Bugatti Veyron. Now, obviously, it only has a V16, which is no match against my front-wheel drive Audi TT that has a snail probably the size of your fist and a V6 that's not much bigger as well. And this is all not going to matter for naught because once again I meet my braking point and little shit for brains here breaks on the racing line! I was a little bit furious. Not to let that keep me down, I went from a 9-second to a 5-second in just the one Variante chicane. I was blistering compared to them. I was catching them so fast, I was gonna overtake them so cleanly. We've only gotten to the second lap. Halfway through the second lap approximately, we are easily going to be able to overtake these people if we keep going at this rate and get much further ahead. Steam training ahead, I do the Ascari chicane probably the best I have ever done it. I'm able to get into 4th gear and zoom out of there at a very high rate of speed without going over the outside curb too much. This finally takes my gap down to 1.7 seconds and then braking super late into Parabola? Parabolicsa? Paraligma? Yeah. Anyway, down to 1.3. And then finally at Curva Grande, they start fighting, which brings that gap tumbling down to within slipstream range. And that stuffs up my entry into a corner. But it's all good, because they stuff it up too. So now I'm within 0.5 of a second. Now you're gonna see some really special racing coming right up into the first Lesmo. Dunk and dunk. Yeah, what? Anyway, we get pushed over by this McLaren. Obviously, they don't want me to get past. And even when I do start getting up beside them, they still hit me. I mean, what the hell? Come on. But whatever. We're going to just keep going past. It's only a McLaren. It's not as if they're fast or anything. Add to that, my brakes are better than theirs are. A whole lot better. As we head into Ascari, you're going to see this gap stay exactly where it is until it starts to update, and they're 0.3 seconds behind. We hit most of our points here. We go a little bit wide here on the exit of the Ascari chicane, but it's fine. We don't get gapped by the sickly Veyron. You have to remember, guys, these Veyrons only have 1,000 horsepower, whilst I'm rocking a V6. And finally, we are right within our slipstream range, which took a little bit longer than what I would have liked to with how their driving is there. They kind of balk me out wide. I wasn't particularly too happy with that, but I am within slipstream range, so I'm not too concerned. We are, however, going to take this next chicane a little bit more carefully, as we don't want to stuff it up. We don't want to go into the back of them. Everything's all good. They take a defensive line. I don't, because I want to take a good racing line. They brake super early, and I just walk past them. Unfortunately, though, with the poor exit out of this chicane, I got a gap up to 1.8 seconds, and finally, good old Mr. X68040 gets his act together and is able to actually maintain a bit of a gap to me. I was able to bring down 1 whole second off that, but it was still about 0.8 seconds by the time I finish, and we're done in 14th place. I'm not particularly happy with that result, so we're going to go again. So I jumped into qualifying, and finally, I have done it. I got down to less than 2 minutes. I did a 1:59, and then I did another 1:59. And another 1:59. I am finally starting to get this game to click just a little bit, and that click is front-wheel drive. I'm proud to announce, though, that finally my driver rating is up to D, which makes me a little bit proud. I mean, sure, it's no S rank, but I finally moved up. Now we are on our final race, and I am feeling good about this, as starting in the Audi TT, once again a BMW in front of me, and me with this excessive amount of power, this monstrosity that is the Audi TT, it is able to catch up to him quite well. Add on to the fact that this guy's about to brake too early. Now watch Hibiki behind me. He's 0.3 seconds behind me. I brake late, in dirty air, everything is all perfect, and oh my god, this guy from miles back, from the outfield, somehow gets in front of me. I was stunned and amazed. I thought I was braking dangerously late. That guy pulled off a miracle. Adding to the whole scariness of this, I don't have a proper control here, so you'll notice that in the bottom left, my track map never changes, so I can't tell where these people are. Now he's fallen a little bit off. I think he touched the dirt just a little bit. Then shit for brains in the BMW comes back at me and hits me unapologetically wide. Now luckily he gets a 2-second penalty for that, because what a absolute of a move. I am not happy with this guy. Add to the fact that now the guy behind me is also right up my trumpet, though somehow stuffed up, and now has gone from no gap to 0.5 of a second behind me. And finally we get to reap the benefits of the fact that this guy now is getting penalized, and I'm left holding the bag with a 1.6 second gap. Even with my incredibly late braking into Ascari, I am not going to be able to close this really easy. These people are at the top pointy end of the field. Nishigori in second place gets lunged by third place and gets completely taken out. But even still, even if we have moved up into sixth, there is now just the 5 in front of us, all so close to each other because they're all so fast. And I am ever so slightly out of slipstream range, which I'm changing because I got a good exit, which is just in time to screw me up with dirty air heading into Parabolica, which is unfortunate. We don't do a particularly good job, but we're not getting lost a huge amount, just a little bit, just a little bit of smidge. Fortunately, being able to actually stay within the 0.7 second of slipstream, I mean, we're actually catching on this guy even after having quite a bad exit. But these guys are really fast and really aggressive. I don't want to have happen to me what's just about to happen to Jazz Peace here. They are so close that I think they just gave him a little bit of a nudge, and he goes through and gets reset from the Shadow Realm, and that moves me up into 5th place, which makes me feel really good. What doesn't make me feel good, though, is I am well within slipstream range here, heading through Curva Grande, and we're going to head up to the 2nd chicane, and I'm feeling quite confident. I'm catching on these guys. I think I am a little bit faster than them. They move over to the racing line. I pull over, and I meet my braking point perfectly. But what the hell? What happened to my racing line? So I get a 2-second penalty, and I get sent back. My braking marker has been at the 100-meter board. Now, I wouldn't have gained that much speed from them. I doubt it was this tap that happens right here. What I think it might be is the slipstream area is 3-dimensional, which doesn't make sense. Now, this has moved me down into 8th, but luckily, because this guy was pushed off for some reason, I was able to actually get that back a little bit, and, well, it doesn't really matter, because we're going to go in for our 2-second penalty, and go right back into 8th again. Now, this gap did open up to about a 2.5-ish second time, and for almost an entire lap, I was actually not doing too bad, keeping up to the person in 7th. The person behind me, though, fell down to about 3 seconds. He was not having a good time. And then finally, I was able to overtake somebody in the only way I know how, which is when they've crashed. Fuck off! But hey, I got 6th place now, which I'm gonna hold for the rest of the race, but I want to point something out. Notice that all the braking marker dimension thingies are missing around here? Yeah, that sucks. And we are now going to open up a bit of a gap to the person behind us, which makes me feel really giddy inside, because this guy was up there. He was battling really well. We're not gonna catch too much on the person in 5th place, but I'm able to open up this gap quite good to well over a second. And wait, the braking markers are gone here too. Well, I mean, yeah, it gets really inconvenient when you're missing a couple of braking markers here and there, especially when they're quite important. Those ones, though, luckily they had little signs up on the side, so it wasn't a huge issue for me. Oh, they're missing here too at the first chicane. That's quite bothersome. I get the feeling that somebody might be doing this deliberately, but let's not go casting aspersions right now. We've got a 6.6 second gap to in front of us and a 5-second gap now to behind us. So we're in no man's land, which is unfortunate. But this means that we can hold our own with the people that are right up towards the pointy end. Now, braking markers are gone again? Okay, some fuckknuckle is up there trying to really screw with me, and I am not happy. Oh, they're gone here too. Great. Have they gone and swept the entire racetrack? Why? I get the feeling that it's somebody that's way down that hates the fact that people are pulling away from him, so he's just gone and he's wiped every single braking marker. What kind of a man does this? Anyway, I was fairly unaffected by this quite luckily, because these last 2 braking points I knew quite well. The people in front and behind me, though, lost a little bit of time, and I was able to come through nice and cleanly in in 6th place. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I actually am thinking that I might really enjoy this game, although it is a little bit of a struggle for me to get used to the whole brake less to brake more type weird mechanic that this game has, and the fact that the game acts as if it doesn't have ABS when clearly the cars have ABS, but I'm gonna keep playing this in my own time and for videos. But for now, guys, I'll catch you next time. Goodbye!